All right, I think we are ready to go here. Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started in just a minute. Okay, very good. I hope audio and visual is working well for everyone, and then we should be able to get going here. Uh, actually, right now. So let's do that. Okay, perfect. What? Good morning. Yep, excellent. Very good. Excellent. Okay, cool. Let's get started. Sorry for the clicking around. So, good morning again. Serge Berger here from the Steady Trader. If you're here for the first time, this is our morning show, 10-15 minutes going through the most important things on our notepad. So, let's get started here. As I just mentioned a second ago, uh, our calendar here is very busy for the next couple of days. So, we're kind of in a holding pattern as it relates to the to really too many trades that we want to do until tomorrow. So for about 24 hours now, we're going to be in a holding pattern where not only do we have economic data that is going to come out tomorrow, we have CPI tomorrow, but also we have earnings season kicking off. So we get the banks, JP Morgan, Goldman, going to report tomorrow. So that's going to be, I think, an important day, and it really could be a shift for how the market reacts for the balance of the month. Although, of course, next week on Monday we have the inauguration, and it's also markets are closed. It's Martin Luther King Day, so again, we're going to go through a bunch of days that are here that are going to be quite important, I think, as far as market directionality is concerned. Broadly speaking, I look at the market here and I look at the top three things and I really look at levels. So top number one thing I'm looking at here this morning is just what happened yesterday in terms of beta, right? So beta would be the S&P 500, and it once again held support. We talked about that support level around the 580 levels. So that's the level that held from December 20th. And December 20th, that's the day right there. Let me annotate the arrow to it. That's right there. December 20th was a day after the Fed meeting, the December 18th meeting, and I've said this now for the past week. Those lows are very important to hold. If those lows fail, and they once again held yesterday, so that further confirms how important they are. On a daily closing basis, they held yesterday, right? That's very important. Whenever those give on a daily closing basis, we're probably going to see, lower, stupid to say, but lower levels from here. I think we could ultimately go, as much as, down 8, 9, 10%. So you get into the mid 500s, even if only for a trade. So that 580 level to me remains very important on the SPY. On the NASDAQ 100, it's really the same levels, right? The same reference point. The reference point is roughly about December 20th. The NASDAQ 100 is more volatile. So here, we are now actually broken below it. And I think that's also where if we see further weakness, where the weakness is going to come from. Remember, Microsoft and Apple, which are a big part of this whole makeup of the beta trade, are at important levels. And I showed the chart yesterday. Let me quickly bring it up again here for you guys, where we can look at the thinning support. And I say thinning, nothing's falling off a cliff here, but we have this chart here, this one here, where again, we're trading within this arc. And if this starts to break, and I'll show you a chart where that is already breaking, funny enough, completely non-correlated to Microsoft, this is going to be important to watch, and that would pull the whole market down if that were to happen. Apple, this one's a bit trickier, but here too, it's a similar type of thing. What we're seeing here is also the market basically holding on to, let me draw that in here for you, to this sort of arcing potential top, and I'm not here to call tops in markets. That's not my business, but I'm trying to make this kind of, so you can see it's a similar kind of idea. So if we start breaking below that, and that, by the way, is something that these kind of arcs, I know this is a lot of doodling and annotating here, but that is actually the kind of thing that not a lot of people do. A lot of people are more into linear lines, moving averages, of course, but these kind of arcs, I found them to be quite interesting to use over the course of time. Moving on to other risk assets as well. And remember, again, this is all correlated to the same kind of idea. Bitcoin itself too, which has an important level, managed to hold that again. If this breaks below, we actually took Ethereum off our ETF Salo Pro list yesterday. So if those of you guys that are ETF Salo Pro members, you saw us remove Ethereum because it broke support. Bitcoin has not yet done that, and if it does, we'll remove it. So far, it's holding on, but Bitcoin remains in a consolidation phase, and it's a good risk appetite asset or commodity, in the sense that if it goes down, it's going to be more likely than not that the broader beta trade starts to weaken as well. And then a couple individual names that I would like to show. So we've gone through, so far we've gone through the S&P levels, the Q levels, the Qs, Microsoft, Apple. Again, that's all the same idea. Let's go into a couple of individual things. So first of all, here is what's going on in oil refining stocks. If you are an Inner Circle member, we actually added an oil refiner this morning to our bucket 3 trade of the day. We're going to review what that trade is and what that stock is in about 10 minutes in our weekly Inner Circle live member session. But not be surprised if this starts to surprise people on the upside. And we're already seeing some of the big names, particularly Chevron, act a heck of a lot better yesterday. I mean, this stock, just to give you some idea of the volatility that this thing has, that some of these stocks have succumbed to. So in early December, through just basically before Christmas, this stock dropped 12-13%. That's a big move. And since then, the stock's now up 10%. Like, these are pretty big moves and pretty volatile moves for something like this. And this had a lot to do with end of year, rebalancing, portfolio window dressing, stuff like that. So we like, CRAK as an idea. Here again, if you're an Inner Circle member, we are adding an individual name this morning. The email is going to go out, and we're going to talk about it in 10 minutes in the member session. More stuff that kind of relates to this, actually. Speaking of oil and oil related, we've been talking about some of these airline stocks now for some time, and I'm flabbergasted that United Airlines went on an absolute tear of 200% now over basically since August. I mean, I certainly didn't participate. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I totally missed this one. I have no explanation for it, other than people think, the economy is on an absolute tear and going to get 1,000 times better. I think the economy is doing well, but I don't think it's going to get a heck of a lot better. But, that would be the only explanation. Oil, by the way, since has also gone up. So I am watching for reversals here. We've had a reversal attempt in early December. We had a reversal pattern yesterday. So between Friday's price action and then yesterday's. So to me, watching these airlines here, this area up here is interesting to me because there's several things. So there's clearly some selling pressure coming in up here. If you look at this, I'm just going to circle it like this or put a square around it. And you can see we've had selling exhaustion happening on 26th of November. Then we had an outside reversal day taking place a couple weeks later. And now we're having this bearish reversal. Now, again, the stock is actually up since then, but it's only up 7% from that initial reversal to now. So sometimes it takes multiple attempts for things to start reversing, but I'm watching this very, very, very closely. And I would say any break, any follow through, like one more decent down day, and I think something like United will have finally put in its top, and it'll start pausing, right? So that's one thing we're looking at. And then last but not least, an individual stock, and again, we'll talk about this one more in the Inner Circle member session as well, because it's now actually beginning to change its trend. Look at Abercrombie, ticker symbol ANF. This is about as clear-cut a potential reversal pattern or trend change that I've seen in quite some time. Basically, and again, our market rover is giving us an initial bearish trend change, not just trade, but trend. But look at how this stock typically behaves. It's not unusual for it to have these huge up moves, right? And the latest one was the biggest one, and then it goes through these consolidation periods, which is what it's I think once again doing right now. So this kind of stuff, and then ultimately that will tend to lead to breakdowns. And just to be clear, like the last time this happened, the stock ended up dropping 70%. The time before that, when that happened, the stock ended up dropping 75%. So let's say the stock drops 60% from here. That gets you down into 75, right? I think the stock could easily go back into the 50s. This was a chart chaser favorite, algos, everything, and now it's starting to change this trend. So I would watch this very closely. We're going to talk about it here in just a few minutes in the Inner Circle member session that starts in about 5 minutes or so from now. So there you go. Those are our top few things. Again, recapping S&P levels. S&P, the December 20th lows have held so far. Until those break, I don't think there's much to do on the short side or much to freak out about, quite frankly. Big day tomorrow in terms of earnings and CPI. And you saw this morning when we had initial inflation numbers wholesale, the earnings, the futures actually popped. So tomorrow is going to be even more important. Then levels on Microsoft, Apple. Again, it's all correlated to the same trade. And the ANF is another one here. And then, of course, we looked at the oil trade. John, we can't post it in the Slack chat room because the Slack chat room is also available for people who don't have access to those webinars. But Joel, if you could send John the link to the Inner Circle member session, if he has access to it, I don't know. Maybe have a look. If he has access to it, then that would be great. So that's it, folks. Short and sweet. Just a little bit over 10 minutes or so, and we'll see you guys in the Inner Circle member session here in just a few minutes. By the way, you guys should receive those by email as well. Although I know we had an email issue. So actually, Joel, if you could send it to those people that are typing this in, maybe the email didn't go because we're having an email issue right now. That's certainly possible. If you're an Inner Circle member, you have access to that member webinar. So cool. Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the session here in a few minutes here. I think we had an email issue, so that's probably what happened. So Joel, if you could get it to all those people that just typed it in, that would be great. See you guys there.